My name is Chet Zaborowski. I was a Sergeant E5 in the United States Army Special Forces. My favorite thing to do was to go into the villages and work with all the young children that were there. I still remember, and a lot of people say, no, not in today's times. We had bars of soap, and we brought them to the little kids, and the little kids, these are very primitive people. They're mountain tribes people, very primitive. We gave them a bar of soap thinking, oh, they're going to know what to do. They'll be able to wash their hands and wash their faces. They smelled it. It smelled good. They took a bite of it. They actually bit the soap. They had never seen soap before. But I remember a lot of the kids going through with all the kids that were there in the A sites and in the villages and stuff. They were probably some of my most favorable memories in there. And it's just working with all the kids. They were so cute. We had gone into this one village on a med cap, and a med cap basically was the team medic and one or two other people would go in and would take care of all of the villagers. Normally we would announce this to the elder, to the village elder, to let him know that we're coming, but somehow or other this never happened, and when we got there, the village chieftain did not have anything for us. I mean, in the line of food. Now, keep in mind, these people are very primitive. They don't have a whole heck of a lot. But he was really upset. And he told us, you come back tomorrow and give you #1 feast. I'm thinking, okay, so we'll come back tomorrow. We actually brought some extra food and stuff with us. But while we were sitting there treating all the kids, we noticed that there were 2 dogs running around the village. The next day when we came back, the village chieftain sat us down to this big banquet of rice and bamboo shoots and vegetables, and there was red meat there. And I'm thinking like, wow, he didn't have this stuff before. This is really good. So we sat down, we started eating. I looked over at my the other medic that was with me, and he said, hey, I only see 1 dog. The other dog was on our plate. So I had actually eaten dog. Now, here's where it comes, and I was told this. You must eat it, because if you don't, this is food that was meant for his village, his family. It would be a very big insult not to do that. And also, when we were finished, we had to leave food on the plate to show him that we were full, that he had given us more food than we could possibly eat. Because if you ate everything, he'd be thinking, I didn't feed him enough. That's another insult. So I had to learn all these little nuances about the villagers over there. With the village people, we're all pretty good. I never really had a bad experience with the villagers. They were always very friendly, very nice, very giving of themselves, even though they didn't have much. I mean, I can't even say that they didn't have much. They hardly had anything. We would bring some of the villagers on camp, on our compound with us. An entire family would have all of their worldly possessions in a box the size of like this by this. That was it. That's all their worldly possessions. A couple of blankets, a pot, or a cup. That's all that they owned in the entire world. And I'm thinking, like, how lucky am I that I could, have all the stuff that I have now, and these people have nothing. But yet they would give that stuff to you in a heartbeat. Great people. We had close relationships with all of our team members. You have to. You're respected for what you know and what you do, and you're respected for your job. You do your job, and that's good. But you have to have that closeness. And you don't see that in too many groups of people. There was always this idea that if you make really close friends, friends die off, and then you have to make more close friends. That did happen. We did lose quite a few people. But that never stopped me from really having a good friend in all of the members of my team. There is a multitude of objectives, let's call it that way, on our missions, especially when we were across the borders of South Vietnam into Laos and Cambodia and North Vietnam. Primary missions were always POW camps. If you could find a POW camp, if there were POWs there, we could liberate them. So that was one. The other is look for enemy troop movements. We would sit along the Ho Chi Minh Trail or along well-used routes, look for the enemy and try to spot the enemy and find out, okay, what's their numbers, what kind of weapons do they have, and report this all back to base camp. So find the enemy, find their weapons, caches of weapons. The North Vietnamese used the Ho Chi Minh Trail, Cambodia and Laos for huge caches, storage areas for all of their weapons. They would take these weapons from North Vietnam, bring them down the Ho Chi Minh Trail, put them in these big caches, okay, are sometimes buried in the ground, sometimes in bamboo huts. It would be food, it would be ammunition, it would be medical supplies, it could be clothing, bicycles that they used for porting all this stuff through. But we could find those. What else? We did the POWs, the base camps, the caches of weapons, and obviously if if we engaged the enemy, we would make contact with the enemy. So there, and that basically every mission was that. We may have had a specific objective for one base camp that we knew was in the area, to recon that base camp, find out their strength, find out their munitions, find out exactly where they are, because in the mountains of Cambodia and Laos, I mean, these are huge mountains, 4, 5, and 6,000 feet tall, and it's very easy to hide an entire base camp. And that's the way the enemy did. So that was one of our priorities.